Hey, it's BT with Tales from a Gemini, and man, we're gonna get right to it with a guest I'm excited to have. Let's bring him on right now. He was in waiting. He's a busy man. I love when I have busy people. I'm so excited. We're gonna bring him on right now. He's in the waiting room. How great is that? The waiting room. I know, right? I'm all big time. There he is. What's up, Jet? What's up, Fro? Fro! Can you hear me? Can you see me? He looks old, doesn't he? Trying to do that. Like, what are you kids trying to do? Jeff, can you see me? Jeff.
Yo, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on, Fro? How are you, buddy?
What up, BT?
First of all, man, I want to give you a belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
December 1st, so now you are the big 5-0. Congratulations, my man.
Thank you.
Now, I don't want to make you feel old, but my producers are 19 and 21, and they have no idea who Pearl Jam is.
Really?
They have no, and this makes a difference, right? My engineer's black, my producer's white, 19-year-old white kid, no idea who Pearl Jam is. That is the state of the world we live in.
He's in some racial confusion. You guys in the reflection over there too.
It's not so much racial confusion. He doesn't know. I mean, that's why I love doing the show, because it's like it keeps me young being around people like this, because they have no idea who Pearl Jam, and it blows my mind because we grew up in a time where there was no Google and we just had TV. But if you want to know your history, you knew it anyway. I mean, I didn't get into people like Nat King Cole or whatever, but I knew who they were. Lawrence Welk, I knew who they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we grew up in basically the same area. You grew up in Kansas City. I grew up in Oklahoma, right? So we grew up around the same time. And I remember you saying something like you were the first rock star motocross, pretty much.
Yeah, well, I was trying to be. I was trying to be a rock star when I was supposed to be trying to be a professional athlete. But that's the way it went, you know? And by the way, dude, you're the ageless one, okay?
No, that's you. You know what? Because another thing, I'm going to call you out right now. We're going to get right to it. I'm going to call you out on your bullshit. I was reading an article. You said, I'm 50 now. You can't teach an old dog a new trick. And I'm like, that's bullshit, because we went out to eat with Ralph Shaheen and using up the company credit card, and you were eating a burger, but you had no bun. And I go, what's this? And you go, well, that gluten, it causes your stomach to bloat, and that's why I'm eating like this. And ever since then, I learned from you how to eat a hamburger like that. I go, I don't want a bun. And I learned that from you, bro. So you can learn something new.
Yeah. So I did a year of being gluten-free. But still, these days, sometimes I prefer to have a burger with no bun. Not, like every now and then I'm like, yeah, just let me have it on a bed of lettuce, try to be a little bit healthier or whatever. Some people, the gluten thing is a big deal to them, and it really affects them. And for me, I mean, dude, I could be gluten-free for a year and then have a case of Budweiser's and a extra large Pizza Hut pan pizza, and dude, it makes no difference to me. So I gave it a shot. It's a lot of work when you really try to focus your diet in certain ways, especially when you're traveling. It becomes really, really difficult. And you got those late nights running through the airport and early mornings or whatnot. And it's like, you're just hungry. You want something to eat. And you're like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to have this burger and the bun.
But I swear to God, as my witness, man, till after that night, true story, after that night, I thought of you every time I had a burger, because I'm vegetarian, but every time I thought of you, I still get like a veggie burger, but I get it with no bun. And every time I do it, I always think of you, because you were the one I go, I want to look like this guy. Because every time I see you, I go, you know what? You might not be able to do a full Supercross race, but you can give me an LCQ. You can give me 4 or 5 laps. You still look like that. Your body's so you can give me a good LCQ, a good top 3 in an LCQ.
Supercross these days. Hey, so where do you fall on the veggie burger, like the Impossible Burger, the black bean burger?
Listen, if you're traveling, I learned the hard way. Okay, don't eat a black bean burger if you're about to board an airplane within 30 minutes. Because I did that at the Miami airport. And let me tell you something, man. I was pretty much an ISIS team member, because I was ready to blow that plane up. As soon as I got off, man, I was elbowing people in the back of the head to get to the nearest bathroom.
That's about the time you go through all kinds of turbulence and they won't turn the seatbelt sign off.
So whatever you do, and I'm telling you as a friend, don't get a black bean burger if you're going to travel. But
let me put that in my phone. No black bean burgers or fights.
But as far as like for me personally, you can't go wrong. I'll take Impossible over Beyond Burger. I just love the Impossible Burger. That is great. Impossible, then Beyond. And after that, it's kind of hit and miss. But yeah, definitely Impossible Burger. And black bean falls around number 3 or 4.
You don't have a problem with the massive amount of sodium and salt and stuff like that, just as long as there's no beef in it.
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, seriously, I drink a lot of water. I really don't. I mean, but listen, I make no sense in my diet. I literally drink coffee at about 1:30 in the morning. I have coffee at 1:30 in the morning before I go to bed. I mean, that's just how my body is.
So you break all the rules. You don't make any sense most of the time. So you're just consistent with who you are. So I love it.
I really do. It's like I tell people, don't live my life the way I live it, because only I know how to do it. I mean, it's just the truth. I bike to the gym today. I bike back home, and you know, I try to work out, do my thing, stay in shape, whatever. But as far as diet goes, there's no rhyme or reason to what I do. I try to keep vegan, vegetarian on that borderline. Other than that, there is no rhyme or reason what I do.
Right.
You know.
All right, sounds good.
I mean, but for you were always, maybe it was just your youth period, but you always were in shape when you rode. Was it just because you were young? I mean, I know Ricky changed the game with fitness.
Let's not confuse then, you know, in my genetic makeup with being in shape, because there's a big difference between, you know, just, you know, what your genetic build is and being in what I call bike shape and like fitness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, you asked me to go pound out a 35-minute moto on a motocross track in a motocross national, you know, it's going to whoop my ass because I'm not in bike shape.
Right.
But I'm not, I mean, I wear a size 32, 33 denim. It's not like I don't carry any extra weight or anything.
I love that. That's what I honestly, every time we would see each other at Supercross here in Indy, I'd be like, God, I want to look like that guy. I want to look like that guy. No, because you always looking great. Well, I mean,
hey, true story though. Hey, BT. So I don't color my hair.
Okay.
Most of my friends that have lost their hair, losing their hair, or it's like Silver Fox.
Right.
Like, bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Well, I mean, and it's crazy because the gray literally goes to right there, and then it stops. I don't know what to tell you.
You're like the Coach K of Supercross, is what you are. You're like the Coach.
If I let this thing grow too much. Dude, sorry. This thing right here, if I let it, dude, it gets like dark and thick. It's like handlebars. It's like I got 2 caterpillars on my face. But it's all OE, man. All, you know, original paint.
I love it though.
Factory paint.
You look good, man. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. And I was looking at your whole career and everything. And what I loved about it, man, is like I connect you, honestly, the way you grew up, because I consider the way I grew up is because we're Midwest kids. KCK, Oklahoma, same thing. To me, same thing. And you know,
we're out in Oklahoma.
I am literally an Okie from Muskogee. I'm from Muskogee, Oklahoma. So so I'm assuming you grew up the same way. But was there like a tad bit of hooliganism growing up? Because we had nothing but land around us. I learned to ride in a church parking lot, and then we had a school where they practiced football. We rip through there and do donuts on the football field, and then zoom around. And we didn't ruin people's property per se, but there was a tad bit of hooliganism. Like one of my best friends lived on the east side of town. He was 8 years old, would ride his Suzuki 80 over to see me across town, he had to pass over a highway, and no one thought shit about it. And he was 8 years old.
Yeah. It's I mean, it was a different time. Like, we lived on a dead end street. We had just houses on one side with fields behind us, fields in front of us, lots of woods and stuff to play in. I mean, we just terrorized all the old people on the street. I mean, my dad.
What'd you do?
He let us go, my older brother and I. But on the side, so there was like a freeway off ramp by us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know how like off the freeway, there'd be a ditch and then maybe like a hillside.
Yes.
And then the property, like there'd be a fence for like whatever the adjoining property line is. We used to have an area that we would go ride.
Uh-huh.
Off of the freeway off ramps, and there was this little kind of like an extra little section, and we made like a little hill track, and we'd ride there at night because of the lights, you know, for the freeway off ramp.
Right.
And at night we would go ride in that area, like just right on the hillside, and just tearing it up, making a track on the hillside. It's like, you think about it now, like, I mean, you ain't doing that shit in California, I can tell you that.
Oh,
No
but
chance. Yeah,
but that's
it was
awesome.
just different time. Like, nobody cared, it seemed like.
Man, you know what? That is one of the things that, you know, sometimes you look back with nostalgia thinking, oh, that was a great time. But that is one of the things that you really look back and go, we had it good, man. I mean, as far as that goes, because
motorcycling was very innocent, and especially dirt bikes. Like
yes.
In the 70s and early 80s, dirt bikes and all that were really innocent. They were this, you know, sort of recreational vehicle, and people were trail riding. And you know, when you look at how the bikes were built, the horsepower, the types of tires that were on them, they really didn't tear shit up too much. And it wasn't until Honda came out with the three-wheeler, and all of a sudden, instead of having, you're tearing up the grass, like on this hillside, this wide, right? All of a sudden you've got, you know, the ATC tires and then the back tires. And so the footprint, I guess, the track of what it, you know, how it destroyed the land in some people's opinion, is that, okay, now, you know, if you did that same thing with a four-wheeler, now you're seeing, you know, 4 or 5 times the amount of the grass being torn up. And then all of a sudden going, oh, wait a second, what is that?
Yeah.
And we saw that with all of the riding areas that we used to go to. There's this real famous place in southern Missouri, south of Springfield, called Chadwick. And it was this famous, like, off-road area. We used to camp there every weekend, trail riding as far as I could see. And it was the Mark Twain National Forest, with tons of it was designated for, you know, off-road vehicles. When the quads took over, and now it's the UTVs, I mean, you can imagine it was a trail, like a single track for dirt bikes. And there was the occasional Jeep trail, you know, fire road, things like that. Now, from what I understand, all of those places are so blown out, because now you've got these UTVs that are 4-seaters, 6-seaters, you know, it's like, so now all of that single track is gone, and it's given way to the 3-wheeler, the 4-wheeler, the UTV, and now the place is just blown out. And that's, you know, maybe that's a consequence of the power sports industry building what they have.
By the way, how the hell, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I did steal a pic off your Instagram, by the way, and I thought it was the funniest shit ever. That 3-wheel, the Honda one, because when my dad was going to get my first motorcycle, which was a Honda Z50, we went to the dealership, and the dude was riding a 3-wheeler, and even then, as a kid, you know, not knowing anything, I go, how? And I was going, how the fuck is that legal? Because he was leaning, but it was, and I go, the weight distribution. I'm 8 years old, going, the weight distribution on that is not gonna work. And how was that legal? Those 3-wheelers, that was the most dangerous shit in the world, and nobody said shit.
Yeah, they were certainly fun, and they had their purpose. I mean, we had 2 ATC 70s. We had one that was like the 70s model, I think maybe 79, and then we had one that was like in 1980, 81. It was like the, you know, like the Evolution model.
Right.
But I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about the beauty of like, let's say the ATC 70, and even the early Z50s that had like the fat tires, you know, no suspension, 50cc. The beauty in what made those things really fun really was the lack of performance. The ATC 70, the suspension was in the tires.
Yeah.
The front forks were solid, if I remember correctly, right? So it'd bounce around.
Right.
And like the Z50, I mean, it was slow as shit. When we had the Z50s in the first Krusty Demons of Dirt video, everybody, when they came out and said, hey, you guys are riding your mini bikes tonight, can we come out and video? And we're like, sure. Because I owned 4 of those things. I owned 4 Z50s, number 1, 2, 3, 4. And me and my roommates and my buddies, we would take them everywhere we went. We would ride those things everywhere, but they were stock. We didn't do any mods. There was none of this, you know, mini bike national stuff. It was just fat tires. And, you know, you were hoping that when you drew straws to see which bike you'd ride, you'd get the one that didn't have the bent levers and rear brake pedal. Around. But it was the lack of performance in those things that made it so fun, because you could really try to dominate the machine, you know. And those were a blast. I mean, ATC 70s when I was a kid, my dad had a big shop. huge parking lot right in front of his race shop.
Yeah.
And when it would snow, man, it was on. My brother and I, we'd ride those. That's fun. As a kid, that's
yes,
fun.
isn't it though? I mean, that's the part where I say the nostalgia. It kind of does meet the real funness of it back then. You know what I mean? It was innocent, and it was just you went out. And you were cold, and it was just fun, man. It was nothing else. We didn't have cable. I mean, we had a little bit of cable, but you had the show. Yeah, well, we had a little bit of.
The only cable TV that we had, BT, was the power cable going from the TV to the electric outlet, and then it was the rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh yes. I remember that. Or you try. I don't know about you, but we tried to get Showtime so me and my brother could fix it to where we get like half between. I'm 52. I'm older than you.
Oh yeah.
I'm 52. Well, you can get
so you were trying to get Showtime through the rabbit ears?
No, we didn't have rabbit ears. We had that, but we also had like the box on top. So if we get it, I have to really like get the channels just between, and I could see Showtime just enough to see an actual titty, and that was the greatest feeling in the world. I was like 14. If you're 14, you can see an actual titty, and in summertime, my mom would go to bed early. Well, you put two and two together. That was one of the greatest summers of my life. Getting Showtime.
So you'd have the JCPenney clothing catalog. And then you graduate.
Exactly. You know how it worked, man. Those were the good old days. You went from like, oh my gosh, you got a bra to, wait a minute, I can see an actual titty. And I remember
hey, Victoria's Secret ads these days are like, puts everything to shame that we had when we were kids.
They're nothing. I mean, I look at Victoria's Secret like, oh, really?
You know that store, Victoria's Secret? Oh, Victoria, she ain't got many secrets.
It's kind of like, I kind of walked through Victoria's Secret like, I mean, the way everything's out in the open now, it's like, it's like, It used to be like, but now it's like, you know what I mean? I mean, that's the way I look at it. But could we grow up at a time? And honestly, this is what I like. And I'm going to walk on a limb. I'm going to talk out of my ass here. But, and go back to, what I said eventually, I mean, in the beginning, has like, you were like the rock star, the first rock star of motocross. So, and I knew you were, and I'm going to talk out of my ass here. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I looked at you as being like, because me and Ralph are more heavy metaler guys. So I looked at you maybe I looked at you as Nikki Sixx. I don't know if you're a Crew fan, but we grew up in the 90s. So, and I saw the picture, I go, this guy looks like a Crew fan. Were you a Motley Crue fan?
Oh, of course. But if only I could have had long hair. I mean, I was required to keep it cut short. I mean, yeah, that would be if I ever was in a position where I could just grow my hair out and not give a shit about any of it, yeah, that would have been amazing, right? But the Crew for sure.
Did you use that, like, nowadays you see guys with they got the little earbuds in before the start, and then you can get the helmet on or whatever. And back then we had the Walkman. So did you ever use music to pump you up before a race, or were you already pumped?
Always.
What'd you listen to?
I was very motivated by certain music that I would like. Okay, this is what I'm putting on at certain times.
What was it? Like walk me through it. Like before a race, right before a race, before the gate dropped, what would you listen to?
Well, I mean, it varied, it was like whatever I was into at the time, I mean, you name it. I've been in, I mean, I like all types of music,
Right. And,
but so this wasn't specific to when I was racing, but you remember when I had my race team in 2001?
Yeah. Right. After the accident. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got into this thing. I think it would have been 2001 when we were Kawasaki team, edgesports.com. Mm-hmm. We had Michael Byrne and Casey Johnson as our riders. And before the main event, we would all go into the 18-wheeler. And our 18-wheeler had two different sets of doors because, it was like a NASCAR 18-wheeler that we got in the trailer. So and the thing was totally decked out. It was like, Phoenix Gold or somebody built our whole stereo system. They were a team sponsor. I think it was Phoenix Gold. And so the thing just rocked. I mean, the system was just insane. Yeah. So we'd close the doors and we'd put on Rage Against the Machine. Renegades of Funk.
Yes.
So Renegades of Funk. We at the beginning, and then how like heavy the bass line is. And and we would be literally like arm in arm, like a chant, some sort of shoot. I mean, we were just, and so everybody be pumped up, and then okay, song's over. Okay, we open the doors and we kick everybody out except team members. Everybody's out.
Yeah. So,
I'm for sure you could hear it outside.
so that was basically your team prayer, basically. You know, some people go in at their team prayer. That was basically how you got pumped up, like, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. And you got pumped
All
and
right, you
got,
guys.
and got you
Yeah.
in your mental space.
Yep. All right, you guys. Boil it down to this, and it's what my dad used to tell me all the time. All you have to do is focus on giving it your very best effort. Do not worry about the actual result, the number, the finish.
Yeah.
If you go out and you give it your best effort and you try your best and you try to not make any mistakes and be as smart as you can and you give it your best effort, you can leave the stadium tonight feeling good about what you did. But if you go out and you step on your dick and you ride like an idiot or you give up or any of that stuff, you're going to leave here and you're going to feel like shit. So we'd get pumped up. We'd do that. And so thankfully, I mean, as a second year team, our goal was to have a top 10 rider in the Premier Class Supercross, and Michael Byrne did that for us.
Do you remember what song you listened to before you snapped McGrath's record? Do you remember what song you listened to before you went to the gate?
Man, no, I don't. But I mean, I've always been, especially in that time. I mean, Led Zeppelin's my go-to.
Oh, what's your favorite Led Zeppelin song? Favorite Led Zeppelin song? If you had to pick. Okay, top three.
So probably my favorite all-time Led Zeppelin song is kind of a rarity. It's called "Traveling Riverside Blues."
Oh, okay. Yes,
it's
nice.
Super raunchy, steel slide guitar and all that.
Yeah.
Very, very bluesy. I mean, where do you go? I mean, how do you pick a favorite? I mean, I honestly, like right now, if I pull up my iTunes, let's see what's on. So this is what's currently playing. And so this is the O2 Arena from 2007. So Kashmir.
Nice.
So,
nice.
And my dear friend Jason Bonham played drums that night, right?
Yes.
I have listened to this album a million times. And it's like I don't know, it just connects with me and I stick to it. I mean, I've heard it a million times, but
it doesn't matter. If it's your song, I could never get sick of listening to When the Levee Breaks. When you hear that drum, if you don't get pumped up from that, if you don't want to throw a chair through a fucking window from that.
Well, and that's the thing about some of that blues stuff that they did, like with the harmonica, the drums, because when they recorded that, if I remember correctly, they were up at Headley Grange and they recorded that. Some of those drum tracks for When the Levee Breaks and like Four Sticks, I believe the story is there was a circular staircase. And so they hung the mics from the top of the staircase, and John was in that staircase. And so it was like one of Phil Spector's, what's it called, his fucking echo chamber.
Yes.
And that's what it gives it all that stuff, which is, nowadays they probably go on what's the app the program
it's some app.
The program you use on your Mac, and you go, okay, boom, echo chamber,
Yeah. But they did the original version. I mean, they were the originator. To me, and to me, nothing kicks in. If I was an athlete today, nothing kicks in to me like in the evening. I remember hearing that, and if you're an athlete, that the very beginning where it's like, and then it just da 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 da. I love that, and just boom, and it hits.
So, I never saw Led Zeppelin as a kid, and the O2 Arena show was. My only opportunity. Obviously, Jason was on drums, so sound quality and being all that was modern, like just unbelievable. So it was like you knew Jimmy Page still plays guitar amazing. You knew Robert Plant. You knew he was going to be amazing, but it wasn't 1970. His voice isn't what it is then. And he finds ways around it, and it's absolutely authentic and unique. You knew John Paul Jones was going to do exactly what he does. He just crushes it, timeless with how he plays his instruments. And the question was, can the son fill the father's shoes?
Right. Yeah.
And they're very much the same drummer, but they're very much, different in ways. And so at the end of the show, it was like the focus was like, holy shit, he did it. He pulled it off. And we caught up with them at the VIP party afterwards. And then we had the pleasure of going back to the Ritz-Carlton with him, and which was when Jason met up with his family for the first time after the show. So we were kind of a fly on the wall for when he'd seen his mom and aunt, and like all the family members were there. I mean, it was like, we were like crying. It was just this amazing like exchange of like, they were so proud of him.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the stadium was too, but I can tell you this, my head hurt. It kicked my ass. It was so like, like you're talking about like how things just kind of boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I mean, I was exhausted when it was done.
That'd be so emotional, though. I mean, it's all the original members, and then him feeling his father's shoes. I mean, that had to be. I mean, were there tears? Was anybody crying? Or I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, we were set. We had like the dudes from Def Leppard in front of us, the dudes from Oasis behind us. Like, we were kind of part of Jason's group,
right?
So, and meeting up with a bunch of those guys beforehand, and they were so amped because that was their favorite band, right? I mean, they had their own success, but they were, and it was awesome. I mean, I encourage you guys, if you haven't seen the show, right? It's on video, the album, all that. It's just, and it was so, some of the tracks that they hadn't played before, In My Time of Dying and things like that were so, dude, just epic.
Now, and in our field, like everybody wants to be something else. It's like, okay, I'm a comedian, but honestly, I've always wanted to be an Olympic wrestler, get a gold medal in wrestling, and I always wanted to race. I wanted to race cars, wanted to race motorcycles, and rock stars, they want to be athletes. So I guess it was rock and roll. So if you could be in a rock and roll band, what would you do? Be a drummer, front man, lead guitarist? What would you be? What would you be?
Well, I mean, the reality is that I've had a drum set. I've tried to play drums. I play guitar a little bit. It's not natural for me. I haven't just picked it up, and next thing you know, I'm Stevie Ray Vaughan or somebody.
But if you had to pick, like if any position in the band, and you could have all the talent. The talent's given to you, and bam, you're in a band. It's the Jeff Emig band. What would you be?
I don't want to be the drummer.
The drummer?
I
really?
can air like a motherfucker. Listen, in the car, like I'm like.
No, you can't. You can't beat me. You can't. I guarantee. I'm the guy from Tool. I'm Maynard when it comes to drums. Guarantee you. Guarantee. Yeah. Who's your favorite drummer now?
I mean, Jason. I love listening to Jason and John. He was a drummer for Led Zeppelin. It totally escaped me right now.
Oh, the current one, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, John Bonham, the original John.
No, I'm sorry, for Def Leppard.
Rick Allen. Yeah, Rick Allen. Yeah.
Yeah. So last night, my daughter and I, who's actually recording her first EP right now.
Congratulations! Congratulations.
Yeah, she's working on it. So we were talking about music and vibing out on it, and I was telling her about Def Leppard Hysteria and the whole process, and when Rick loses his arm, crashes his Corvette. And so we were talking about how, I was explaining to her how when he came back from his accident, it's like losing an arm as a drummer. It's like death sentence,
Right.
But he found a way to adapt and created his whole new sound, which then in turn was a part of Def Leppard's greatest album ever. Like when the most pressure was on, there were millions of dollars in debt to the record company, right? I'm sure you've heard the story.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to sell 5 million albums just to get in the black on this.
Yeah.
Like, you sell 1 million albums back then, you were rolling in the dough. They got to sell 5 just to break even. And what's great about if you air drum to Rick Allen is you can drive with your left hand, put it on cruise, so you got you can do your thing there because you don't have to, so you're still driving. So safety and air drumming, that's how you.
Okay. No, growing up, like I said, growing up 90s, metal kid or whatever, or just music kid, don't get me wrong. I mean, that was the same way. I listened to everything. I loved everything. But if I had to choose, metal was my music of choice if I had to choose.
Okay,
and
so if you got stuck on stranded on an island and you had one album to listen to the rest of your life, what would it be?
Motherfucker, really? Oh, one album, huh? Oh, it's got to be a greatest hits because you know what? I gotta go with the Led Zeppelin box set. I gotta go with the Led Zeppelin box because
you got 10 albums in there.
well, you said one album, so that's a box set.
Come on, man. There's 10 albums for one album.
One album, motherfucker. I hate you. Okay,
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go with, and this is the most underrated metal band ever that no one talks about. They're underrated. I'm gonna go with the Scorpions. Scorpions, Live at First Sting.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Because nobody talked. The Scorpions could go with any group in that time period, and no one talked about the Scorpions. They had 2 greatest hits albums before they even came over here. Remember Holiday? Oh my, man! No one talked about how great the Scorpions were. So I'm gonna go with the Scorpions. How about you?
I think I'm gonna go with Frampton Comes Alive.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Double set, double record set. So
yes, yeah.
Getting some extra in there, but I mean,
okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
Finishing up the nights on the boat back in the days with do you feel like we do? Oh man, we'd be in Lake Havasu and we'd always round like that'd be the last song of the night, or morning most of the time. That was it. All of our group, everyone knew, okay, man, time to pull the boat into the dock and get some sleep.
How crazy did it get during those days? Because I mean, you were like I said, you guys were the first. I mean, you're the originators actually of. And I keep borrowing and saying rock and roll stars, but you guys were the first generation to put it there. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were great motocrossers before you, with Bob Hanna and Johnny O'Mara. They were great, don't get me wrong. But for the time period, I mean, with everything, with the world and the way the music was, you guys came along at a time where it fit. You know what I mean? Like the style of riding. And I think freestyle motocross just started coming in. And so, and with the music. And you were winning. And you had ideas with winners, man, how you get treated. So with that, and you're winning, and it's the 90s, and I mean, and we all know how it goes. I'm sure you guys had your, party with rock stars. So how crazy did it get during those times? With no names. You don't have to.
Well, there was just a great confluence of things that happened in the 90s, and I tell people all the time, to me, the 90s in rock and roll was or the 90s in motocross are what the 60s were to rock and roll.
Right.
And we had just enough money in our pockets to buy things and have nice cars and boats and stuff, and a long enough leash. The cell phone was just a cell phone. The internet wasn't invented, or at least popular at the time.
Right.
So it was really interesting. You can get away with all kinds of things no matter where you were at. People probably have photos and stuff, but it wasn't like you're recording live video, things like that. And so any of the debauchery and wrongdoing isn't being blasted out so fast that, you're going to get in trouble for any of it. And it was acceptable all up until really the day the music died is the day that I got in trouble in Lake Havasu. A Saturday night, I get busted, had a little bit of weed in my pocket, which wasn't legal in the state of Arizona. At the time, they had zero tolerance. I get arrested. It hits the internet, as police records were public, and it was really in the early days of the internet. And Kawasaki gets a hold of it, and by Wednesday night or Thursday, they fired me and clipped my contract. And that's when the industry, everybody was like, "Oh shit!" Here's a 4-time champion, star rider, lead rider, veteran rider of a Kawasaki team, and they're letting him go. And so things quickly changed. And at the same time, Ricky Carmichael, later on that year, we do our race at the U.S. Open. He and I go 1 and 2. And at that same time was when Ricky decided to get serious about training and take the real dedication in the training to the level of what a top Olympic professional athlete would be. So it's like the rock star era, if you will, where you could do that. And everyone's doing that. So your competition's doing that. Everyone's doing that. We're all on a level playing field. Ricky then decided to balance that that playing field. And so it no longer could you do that. Now, guys like Jason Lawrence and Josh Hansen, Josh Hill, some of these guys have tried to glamorize what we did in the 90s and apply it to their own careers. But unfortunately, there were guys like Ricky, Ryan Villapoto, Dungy, these type of guys that were the dedication that they were putting in would not allow you to, have the rock star training program.
So basically, if you're going to compare it to music, Ricky was you were basically 90s metal, MTV, and Ricky became Pearl Jam, and he changed the whole landscape. Basically, was he not? I mean, that's basically what it was.
It was a seismic shift in the industry, yeah.
But that's how Pearl Jam did with MTV, because it was all fun and games. It was Poison and have a good time and party. I want action. And then Ricky came and he was the Pearl Jam and he was Jeremy spoke like, oh, these guys are different. He was the Nirvana, and so then it's like,
that song, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? These guys, I hate going back to these, but these guys, they have no idea what good music is. We were talking, and the fact they don't know Pearl Jam bothers me every day I come in here.
Hey, I heard the single Alive.
Yes.
And one of my roommates at the time was working at like a, Virgin record store, I don't even know what the big record stores. I said, dude, I heard this album, this song, this band it's called Pearl Jam. And the song was called Alive. He's like, dude, we don't have it at the store. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, man, it's insane. Like it's so different than anything that we're listening to, and that was really right there at the beginning of it all.
So if we're comparing it then, okay, so when Ricky started getting serious and he started winning, did it make you change your game and you're like, okay, this is not a fad, this is working for him, so I should do it?
No, but so let's back up. The arrest was August of 99. Lost my ride, got together, was going to building my own team. It took me a couple of weeks to actually Denny Stevenson's bachelor party. We were in Vegas, and it was like, Friday through Monday was just it was on. I woke up on a Monday morning like, dude, something's got to change here. Okay.
How crazy did it get that weekend? Well, how crazy did it get that weekend? Like
it was insane. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so, I know it's insane, but what did you do? I mean, if you can give me
there was a lot of ecstasy going around back in those days, so we'll just leave it at that. Which is just it is so bad for you. If you're trying to be a professional athlete, this is not the substance you need to take it. But we had the first round of the World Championship. There was a 3-round Supercross World Championship at the time.
Right.
So the first round was at Stade de France in Paris.
Yeah.
And so I have this weekend. I have this this feeling like, dude, what am I doing? I don't have a ride. What am I doing with my life? We got to leave Thursday. Wednesday rolls around. My mechanic calls me, or says like Wednesday morning, hey, are you gonna ride before we leave? And I'm like, I don't think I can. I don't think I can ride yet. Like, this is a Wednesday.
What?
I'm still not recovered.
Holy shit!
And it was a good time, bro. And so I go. So now it's like something's happening in here. It's happening in here. And I go to the race, Stade de France. It rained. All the top guys were there.
Yeah.
It rained. I actually had a pretty good ride. If I remember correctly, I got third.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the podium, and it's in like an outdoor soccer stadium, and it's raining. And they built a track around the soccer pitch. And so I'm on the podium, and it's rain's coming down, and the photographers and everybody are there. And it's like, this is a really good third.
Right.
It's just third, but for me to get a third that weekend was a kick-ass ride.
Right.
True story. And I remember like I was going through this like epiphany, or this transition in my head and my heart, my soul. And as I'm walking back to the pits, I basically walked across the center of the soccer field. Mm-hmm. I remember stopping, and like in the middle of the pitch, and rain's coming down, and the lights are in the background. You see the rain's coming down. It's like real moody. And I remember literally just surrendering, just like, asking God, like, what am I doing with my life? What am I supposed to do? Like, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
And then that's kind of where this points him, like, okay, what's all this extracurricular stuff in my life? What's really going to make me happy is following the racing. And so when I got home from that trip, I decided to do a a drug and alcohol, rehab.
Okay.
I was clean and sober and all that for the first time in a long time. Ended up winning the U.S. Open, building my race team, all of this sort of stuff. So I was going into the 2000 Supercross Championship with the clearest head, the most fit, the best I'd ever ridden a bike ever in my life. I was going into the 2000 season ready to win.
And here's what it's amazing how you get clear, you're ready, you're focused, you're probably feeling the best you've ever felt, and then May 4th.
No, back up.
Okay. I'm backing up.
So December of '99, I was riding Yamaha. We were literally still building the bike in my garage.
Okay.
We had an 18-wheeler on order. We're going to do the whole race team ourselves, just like Chapter you did, and we would go out to the Yamaha track. Yamaha would let me ride there essentially. And you got McGrath was on the Chaparral Yamaha team, all factory bikes, works parts. David Villman and Jimmy Button were riding factory Yamaha.
Okay.
And we'd go out there to the track. A Yamaha of Troy team, the 250 team was there. It was a really incredible environment. Everybody was on their A game. And my mechanic, Tim Dixon, at the time, he says, look, if you ever want to be Supercross champion again, you've got to get over your fear and your disability of going through the whoop sections. I mean, I was horrible. I was like Michael Lessie bad.
Oh, you got no shade like that.
Oh, dude, he knows what I'm talking about. We're both good at starts. We both suck through the whoop, okay? And so I got my shit together and I got my attitude right.
Okay.
Every day in that December, we'd go out there and McGrath and I would match times. If he did a 56, I'm doing 56. Usually Button and Billman were a click off. If he does a 55.5, guess where I'm at? I'm right there with him over and over and over. And so I was in the best place that I'd ever been in December to have a run at winning the Monster Energy Supercross title.
Oh my goodness, man.
And then.
Yeah, I know.
So December 30th.
Yes,
1999, a week before the first race.
Oh.
I'm at Stefan Roncata's track, private track. I'm out there riding, getting my laps in. I make a little mistake through like coming out of this turn, this rhythm section, and I come up short and I kind of nose into the face of the jump. Well, I got kind of bucked up. So I was riding really loose, really fluid. Well, I almost came off the bike. And so I was holding on to the grips by my fingertips and not by like my palm. So when I hit and I was short, instead of taking the force here, I took the force here.
Oh.
Both wrists snapped.
Oh.
Hey, the top of my wrist right here was flat, and this part was like over here. Both hands. Week before the first race. Yeah.
How bad did that?
So there was that. Then I recovered from that crazy recovery, like really the most excruciating pain trying to get my wrist back. And look at my wrist now. Like, I mean, perfect wrist. And then the throttle sticks on May 4th of 2000, have that big accident where I crashed and crushed a vertebrae, broke my leg, thought I was paralyzed for a minute or two. And then that's when I quit. So that's when it ended.
When you're laying there, I mean, you can skip through if you want to, but as you're laying there, man, and I read that where you go, you know what, I'm done. And was it the culmination of the injury from December that, and it's just so ironic that you get right mentally and get all the excess out of your life and you're focused, and I guess, and I'm assuming you were happy in your life, and then this happened. It's almost not even fair, you know what I mean? And then so when you're laying there thinking you're paralyzed, I mean, what's going through your mind at that moment?
Well, so I'm laying there and I literally landed in a mud hole, kind of rolled. And this was an open practice day out at Glen Helen. So they had to shut the track down. Took almost an hour for the ambulance to get there. And I'm laying there on my side and I'm like, okay, I got all this tightness in my midsection. Nobody moved me. I think I broke my back. And then I'm laying there and I could see my boots, but I couldn't make a move. And I went through the process and I, you know, I don't say this lightly, you know, my heart goes out to athletes and whatnot who have actually went through this, you know, but I went through, I don't know, 30 seconds, maybe longer of like, I can't move my legs. I go, shit, I got paralyzed. And I'm trying to like kind of pull my knees up or like move my feet and I couldn't feel them. And then all of a sudden I started feeling the pain in my right leg where, you know, I had a compound fracture about 4 inches above my right ankle. And so then I start to feel that and I'm thinking, okay, wait, I can feel that. And then I kind of like pulled like my hip flexor and kind of moved my left leg and kind of pulled my legs up. And then I had this really heavy moment where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like this, like I'm going to be okay. It's going to be okay. The ambulance is going to get here. I'm like talking myself through it. And I just went, you know what? That's it. That's it. And I remember having this massive, like exhale where it's going to be all right. And I felt what I call my racing spirit, that fire inside, that spirit that's like, whatever it takes, we'll risk it all.
Yeah.
It left me right then.
Really?
Yeah, it was gone.
Wow. Now, was it, did you enter a depression after that? Or like you said, or is it like I'm fine, I'm good, and I've done it all, I can walk away?
Well, had I not been, you know, sober and substance free and really in a right place in my head and heart and soul, you know, I might not have taken it like I did, but I had so much to look forward to. We're building the race team and I put other riders on the team and, you know, life was good. You know what I mean? So it you know, never, you know, it was a bad time to retire. Money at the time was going crazy. Riders, instead of making a $250,000 salary, you were making $1 million salary. Bonuses that were $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 were now $1 million bonus. The energy drinks were coming into the industry. A lot of money was pouring in. I mean, I could have made a ton of money had I stayed racing. But when that racing spirit leaves you, that's when you gotta go.
And now, is that a reason to where, you know, I was watching an interview, they tried to pit you and McGrath against each other still, you know, even after all these years, kind of like, you know, well, he's still racing, I think, trucks and this and that. And you.
Oh, you're talking about Jack. Yeah.
I forget what it was.
Yeah. Jack Corpella did a piece. Yeah. He was with Mav TV and stuff and he does. Yeah.
And what I thought was beautiful, what I loved what you did, man. And no respect to McGrath, no disrespect at all. You know, he said he races and this and that, and he wasn't really throwing shade, but it was fun. But you just said you're happy riding your 125. Nothing special. You go out, you have a good time with it. And I love that. You weren't trying to show off. You like riding your 125 and that's it. And I just love that. And is that because you're grounded after that racing spirit left you? Like you don't have anything to prove?
No, I don't. You know, the plan is to race Celerettas this year again in the vet class in the plus 50, but it's more about me competing with my own goals and my own, level, competing with myself than it is anybody else on the track.
That's beautiful.
If I go out and ride anything, it's really not a competition like that. And I'm not, I have so much fun when I do ride. It's so therapeutic. It really is. And it's not for anybody else. I'm not trying to show anybody how fast I am or slow I am or anything else. We go out to local tracks, there's pros. And I mean, the worst thing, I go out to the track and like all of the, Star Racing Yamaha boys are there. They're more than, less than half my age. They're blowing past me so fast. I'm like, I'm getting out of the way, and I can't get out of the way because they're lapping me all the time. I can't get out of the way quick enough, you know?
Wow.
And it's a big ego blow when you're like, in my day, I would have dominated those guys, but that's not what it's about. And so my ego's well in check.
That's beautiful though. I mean, because you have nothing to prove.
Riders aren't that way.
Yeah.
But I don't, yeah. It's like any of the guys that I used to race against that they want to, like, that time's over. The opportunity is gone. It's not about that right now.
Well, you know, because age gives you perspective, at least it should. And if that's where you are mentally, I think that is beautiful. I love that. I still, as Rocky would say in Balboa, you got a little bit in the tank. And that's why I still want a dirt bike. And for me mentally, honestly, and I know I'm not going to do it, but you can't tell, but my subconscious tells me I want to do the Dakar. So the way I train, I know I want to do the Dakar. That's my thing. So I want to get a trail bike and I want to just rip it somewhere because mentally, the Dakar is always on my mind everywhere. Have you ever wanted to, like, even during your heyday, was there ever like a part of you that wanted to do something else? I mean, I know Ricky went to trucks. You know, Jeremy does trucks now and whatever. He flirted with, I think, and Ricky flirted with NASCAR. Did you ever really want to, like, flirt with something else during the time, or were you just strictly motocross and supercross?
Well, those opportunities after I retired were there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's a lot of work to go do that. There's been a number of riders that have tried to take their work ethic, their level of excellence, and apply it to different forms of racing. I mean, hell, Jeff Ward almost won the Indy 500 that one year. You know.
Yes.
But you know what we've seen is that you can't miss out on that first 30 years of experience. You know, it's like the 10,000 hour rule that Malcolm Gladwell laid out in the book Outliers. You know, you come in with a lot of enthusiasm. You're a champion. You know how to do this stuff. But like Carmichael, let's say, when he went and was racing trucks and nationwide series and stuff, you look at the amount of hours that he has behind a wheel compared to the person next to him. Some kid that's been driving go-karts since he was 4 years old. Man, it's hard to make that up.
Yeah. But
it is.
But the fact that you're happy, I love that, man, that you're happy with who you are and where you're at. And honestly, I know I run out of time and I didn't get to, I wanted to get to the story, my favorite story. And it sounds like nothing, but it meant everything to me when I heard it. I just loved when you were talking about how you were in, I think it was in Ohio, and it was hot, and you just got the famous, now famous, the black jersey, and it was hot, and you pulled the mental card on everybody when, like you said, that it was the jersey that was thick material that no other motocrosser would have worn, and you got dressed in the truck, had all your stuff, and you came out in black in the summer on a motocross race. And you walked to the gate. Most riders would ride with their mechanic to the gate. You walked, no umbrella. And when you turned, you said you looked and you saw McGrath underneath the tree, the shade, with like an ice towel, whatever. You said, it's over. And you won. That's one of my favorite stories ever.
All the guys that day were basically, I mean, it was so hot and humid, you know how it can get. And we're in these trees. The track at Troy, Ohio, at Kenworthy's is the name of the track. They actually built the track right by a river, so it was over the levee, on the riverside and all these trees. So there was no wind. Right?
Oh,
it was just still, like where you could, the air it was like liquid. But I got into this mode during that time period where I would have everything, all my gear on when I left the Kawasaki truck,
yes,
except for my goggles. Okay. And J-Bone would take the bike to the starting line and I would walk, right? So it's already hot.
Right.
You step out of the truck and you're feeling it. And what was great is that, especially at Kenworthy's, is all the fans would be lined up along this fence. And so you just, you're like high-fiving people when you can. And you're kind of feeding off of that energy from the fans. You're getting a sweat going. I mean, by the time I got up there to the starting line, which at the time there was no cover on the starting line, and when you were in staging, the entrance to the gate was just right in the middle. And J-Bone's basically the only bike up there, and everybody else is kind of like over in the shade. We had first gate pick, and I look over, and I'm hot as shit. Don't get me wrong. And I'm wearing the black shift jersey, and it was thick, man. It was like a sweater compared to.
Yeah.
they're like, everyone's like fighting the heat, and I was accepting it.
Yes.
And I said, those guys are done. And J-Bone's like, hey, do you want me to put the umbrella up? I said, nope. He goes, you want me to fan you off with the pit board? I said, nope. I mean, I'm sweating, don't get me wrong. But that's one of those mental games that, on that day and that type of environment, I really excelled. Like, I loved it when it was hot. And, for whatever reason, I just performed well in those times. But man, it was brutal, dude.
To me, that's my favorite story of yours that no one knows. That's my favorite because that's mental. And to be at that level, the pros, and correct me if I'm wrong, like I always tell everybody, I'm a wannabe who never got to be there. So that's why it's always awesome to interview like the guys like you, because I am a wannabe, and I always tell everybody that. So to see that at that level, it's always the little things. And to play that mental game and to win it, I mean, to see somebody like McGrath and look over and you've got him already. I mean, and like I said, you're hot, but
it's funny that you say that because I remember talking to Ricky Johnson one day, who was just the ultimate strategist, right? When it came to racing and all that sort of stuff, and the mentality that you had to have. And he's like, he says, what you want to do is you want to get to a place in your career to where you're on the starting line and you kind of like looking over here, looking over there, and you're like, ain't nobody gonna beat me. Doesn't matter if I start first or last, I'm winning this. So
that's
thankfully
beautiful.
I had a couple of those throughout my career.
When did you now? And this sounds like a simple question, but like I said, I'm an outsider.
This is that gear, by the way. This is the. Let me see if I can get the glow.
Oh, I love it! Look at that.
So the black jersey,
yes,
the snow camo pants. We actually make we at Shift we have new versions of that pant. And we have different, like executions of the jersey.
Yeah.
We've had it in the line. We call it the GI Fro line. We've had it for 3 or 4 years now, so it seems to still be pretty popular.
I'm gonna get that as soon as we leave here. I mean, I'm gonna go on some site and I'm gonna get
I'll
that.
get you a discount code. Okay.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. Now on the outside looking in, I know it was a job, but when was it ever fun? I mean, because sometimes, because I say that because I was listening to an interview with Scott Redding, who races World Superbike, and he's saying how, you're a racer. He goes, the only time I had fun was one time I had to do, I think, a clinic, or he did a track day or whatever. He goes, you know what? I actually had fun on the bike. And he said when he races, he never had fun. So was it ever fun? I mean, fun. Where you're like, this is great.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've always enjoyed riding the motorcycle. Now there are times when you're in struggle city, man, and you can't get out of the city limits.
Right. Of course.
You're just stuck. And you're just doing everything that you can to try to survive that day and not, hurt yourself or whatever. And that part sucks, but there were some races that seemed really easy, Overall, I won, I think it's 37 AMA races.
37, baby. You're fourth all time?
No chance. Maybe in motocross. No,
yeah.
No, I don't think. I don't think. I think Villapoto and Dungey and some of these guys have surely passed me up these days.
Yeah.
I think it maybe around top 10 in motocross and Supercross. I'd be pretty far down the list because I won 7.
Yeah.
Essentially premier class main events and 6 or so 125. So yeah.
Now, when you look at the current crop now, what rider reminds you of yourself?
Oh shit.
Of the current crop that you go, that guy kind of reminds me of me, and you kind of want to put like a dad kind of hand on his shoulder, like, hey, listen, son. You know what I mean? Is there anybody that reminds you of you right now?
Not off the top of my head. I really can't think of it.
Really, not one. What rider scares you? If you had to ride today, what rider scares you? Like, oh shit, this guy. Like, I hope he crashes because I've got nothing for him. Like, what rider on the grid now that lines up? What rider in current Supercross?
Well, I think Eli Tomac certainly shows that he has this next level speed that very few athletes have, right? I mean, Damon Bradshaw, James Stewart, Villapoto every now and then could pull it out. Where their speed was just incredible. I just posted a thing on Instagram today. of the St. Louis Supercross a few years back, where Dungey gets the whole shot. He's leading points, and Tomac starts well outside of the top 15. Hell, he passes Dungey with 6 minutes left to go in the main event or whatever it was, that night he was just on a different level. That's on my Instagram right now today. If you guys want to see it, and it's like the highlight version of it.
Yeah.
But you're like, holy shit. He was passing guys 2 at a time. He was doing whatever he wanted. And that it's, as a color analyst on the Supercross broadcast, my job is, Ralph does the who, what, where, and when.
Yeah.
And I do the why and how. And there's times where you're like, I'm trying to craft the words to help people at home that are watching,
right?
Help them understand how this man is riding this motorcycle this way.
Yes.
And sometimes you just can't. You just have to look at the visual and be like, when you've got the other 19 or what do we, it'd be at 22 riders. So other 21 best riders in the world on the track. And this guy starts almost 20th and wins the race, no problem, because he's on the next level. Is sometimes you just got to let it be and just enjoy the visual and be like, wow, how's that happen?
Well, what took him so long?
That much better that night, you know. And the thing with Tomac, the next race was, I believe that was the year where the next race we go to MetLife Stadium, and he crashes a couple of times and loses the points lead again. You're like, that's the interesting thing about that. I think when you if I tried to put a group together of Bradshaw, Stewart, Tomac, let's say, 3 different generations, 90s, 2000s, and the 20 teens, is they literally had the ability to blow everybody away one weekend, and then the next weekend they just couldn't quite get it together.
That I always want to know why, especially with Tomac, because he's in the current right now. Why is, and finally this year he finally did it. He overcame the whatever was hampered. But what was it? I mean, what was it that he was like that?
I don't know, and that's what's different when you take a guy like let's use McGrath and Carmichael. Their excellence and their consistency with that was just like nothing the sport had ever seen, and I don't know, I guess that's what makes us individuals, it's what makes us different. And, we admire it, for different reasons.
Yeah.
That's what makes them, I guess.
I think it's beautiful. Well, I mean, it also makes the sport exciting also, because knowing that he's like that makes you go, well, let's see, can he do it again in this race? And if he can't, who's going to come up and challenge him? And that's what, that's why I love the sport. I think right now, and we say it every year, I think the off season in motorsports it's almost better than the season, because you got that, I think this guy is getting there. I think he's there. And so you can't wait. And I love that I'm talking to you on the eve of Supercross starting, because I go through a little depression when all motorsports are off. It's like a big depression for me. So it's like I can't, I'm chomping at the bit, so I can't wait. So, and I'm going to ask you this. Now, the villain, so to speak, is Dylan Ferrandis. He's the so-called bad guy of the sport now, or they say he's dirty, whatever. Now, what's your take on him? And do you think it kind of helps that you have a villain? And honestly, does it help that he's from France or from another country? So it kind of helps in the kind of vitriol that's spit toward him. You can everybody can point the finger.
Yeah, it's easy to vilify, a foreigner, if you will, and just okay, but it's his, people don't really connect with him because of his, his accent, his language and stuff. I mean, the dude's a badass, and it is not show friends, it's show business.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right? So too bad. For sure, the incident that happened last year at Anaheim with him and Christian Craig probably should have backed out of it. Dylan was late. He should have been on his rear tire going over the finish line jump. He was like 2 bike lengths behind. He was late. He was too late to make that aggressive of a move. But we admire that. We admire somebody that's going for it like that. And I think other riders that don't have that ultimate killer instinct, I think they're a bit jealous, and so they just they don't like it. But the bottom line is, he had, a career year as a 250 rider. That ride that he had, I believe it was the second moto at the Ironman Motocross National, where he was down in the first turn, easily 10 seconds or more behind the last place guy when he even got up. I believe he came back to second in that race, but just the ride that he put on was just,
Well, in a way, to me, for some reason, 250s have a little more aggression because before Fernandez in 250s, Jason Anderson was the same way. What he used to do, I think it was with Cole Seeley, he used to screw around. Every time the last turn, Anderson would come and he would take him out and get the victory.
Seeley,
And before Jason Anderson, it was Barsha.
It was all of us, It was all of us. When you're in that, I mean, look at the maturity level of the 250 riders. I mean, granted, a guy like Ferrandis, age-wise, is up there a little bit more. But I mean, that's where we're at. And if even on the premier class level, we all are trying to grab the same thing. And I don't have any problems with that. I mean, there's dirty riding. There's just straight up, dirty riding that's uncalled for. But when it's rough riding, and like Ricky and I, Carmichael and I, we both agree, when it's for the title and it's rough riding, if you leave the door open, that's on you.
Yeah.
Don't leave the fucking door open and you won't get slammed.
Yeah.
So, and if there's so much on the line, and when it's all said and done, you remember the champion. And so let it be a lesson. I mean, and it's that way in life too. Like there's parallels to life. I mean, sometimes you got to go, take what you want. You got to get after it and give it everything that you have.
That is beautiful. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree. And now we're almost out of time. So we got to do one word answers. I'm going to give you one word. Bam. Just bam. One word. Okay. Great. The best Supercross rider now, not named Tomac or Webb. Best Supercross rider now, not named Tomac or Webb.
Best Supercross rider now, not named Tomac or Webb. Well, that's a pretty damn good question. I mean, I think I'd go with somebody like, Marvin Muscan. I think he's really, naturally talented. So
okay, most underrated rider this year. Underrated. Well,
I might go with somebody like Justin Cooper.
Okay.
250 guy.
Best rider you've ever raced against. And you race against them best, but you got to pick one. Gun to your head.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to go with Ricky. Ricky. Well, hold on. Because I race against Stefan Everts too. So that's a tough one when you get into the best.
Yeah, I know. So, okay. So
I had to race against McGrath, Carmichael, and Everts at different times. And those, they three hold the most prestigious records in the world.
So the answer is
all three of them.
You can't.
You took the box set earlier.
You wouldn't let me. You wouldn't let me pick the box set. That's why I went Scorpions Live at first thing. So you got to pick one. Gun to your head.
I would have to say that Ricky Carmichael is the greatest that I've ever raced against.
Okay, greatest Supercross racer you've ever seen.
The greatest what?
Supercross racer that you've ever seen. Not race against. It doesn't have to be race against because it can be timeless. So best Supercross racer you've ever seen. That you go.
What was it? Atlanta 2011. Stuart Reed, Villapoto, Dungey. I mean, I've posted a few of them lately.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about. I got goosebumps. Look, right now. I got goosebumps. I mean, it's just, I was really fortunate to be a part of a lot of really great broadcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael's last race against Stewart, I just saw that on Instagram yesterday. But that final in Atlanta, I believe it was 2011. where Reed and Stewart get together and just four of the top 6 greatest champions.
Yes.
Sport all went top 4. That was a big one.
Okay. Best 90s metal band. Best 90s metal band. 90s. Best 90s metal band.
So you got a 90s metal. I mean, Metallica was in their heyday. I don't think you can go. I mean, when they did the long version of
One.
I mean, the theatrical, emotional, that's it, man. That's like top 3 videos of all time right there.
Yeah. Okay. I like that, man. I love that. Great. I had to get you with that. Okay. The best drummer of all time. Best drummer all time.
John Bonham.
I'll agree with you on that one. Close.
Just his own style. I mean, there's so many great drummers. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
my guy was Bonham, and that's what makes having a friendship with Jason and seeing him have the extension and continuation of his father's work in the Jason Bonham Led Zeppelin evenings and all those things. It's awesome. What do
you listen to now? What kind of music do you listen to now?
Man, I don't listen to a lot right now.
Really?
I used to listen to a lot of country. I've kind of clipped that. I listen to a lot of educational stuff and podcasts and all that. And then maybe that's why I end up just always going back to Led Zeppelin. I love listening to Sammy Hagar stuff at times. And
favorite Sammy Hagar song, if you can. Best Sammy Hagar song to you.
Give to Live.
Really?
Give to Live. Man, are you serious?
Well, I'm just asking. I mean, for some reason, I just love the kick-assness of heavy metal. And maybe it's because I've seen the movie, but it's just whenever it kicks in, it takes me back to my youth, and it just gets me pumped up no matter what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah, man, those that drum beats right there.
Yes. Man, good times, brother. Good times.
I used to put on the underside of my visor, I would always put a little message. So each helmet, almost each helmet had its own little sort of phrase to it. And one of my helmets, I remember back when I was riding Yamaha, it said "Give to Live" was under there. So.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, man, you're my roommate's favorite motocrosser of all time. When I first moved in with her, she had a signed poster of you, and you're her favorite motocrosser.
What was it, Three's Company at your place? What was the deal?
Well, kind of, actually. It is kind of, yeah. It's my roommate. At the time, she was married, and so yeah, when I moved in, I remember she had a poster of you, and you're her favorite motocrosser of all time. So, yeah, man.
And my love, if you're still in touch with her.
Well, I will do that tonight, man. I will do that tonight. Buddy, it has been great talking to you. I mean it from the bottom of my heart, man. I've always wanted to, MotoGP is my thing, whatever, but I just love racing, period. And I grew up on the dirt and trail riding, so to get a motocrosser on, especially you, as I know you, man, this means so much to me. So, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, dude. I was like a little kid at Christmas, man. I was all excited in my bed last night trying to go over questions, and I just thank you so much for this, man. I really appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, dude, you got me fired up now too. I'm ready. We were supposed to produce a podcast this week, Ricky and I don't know if I'm going to get it. I don't know if he's going to have time for it, but I'm fired up. I'm ready for Supercross to start now also. We're coming up this weekend.
Well, I'm fired. I'm sure Ricky's fired. And if you guys don't do it, tell Ricky to give me a call. I'll put him on here, and then we'll talk some motocross. I mean that, man. I love you guys, and luckily you were spared. I call it the Chad Reed, because whenever I see Chad Reed at MotoGP, I'm always all over him because I'm just a dork like that, and I always want to apologize to him because I can't. And in my defense, I can't stop it, and it's genuine. But I'm always Chad, and I see in his eyes, he's always been nice, but I see in his eyes like, oh God, not him again. And so
security.
Exactly. So I feel so bad. So, man, again, Fro, thank you so much for the time, man. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you, buddy. And an ambassador for Husqvarna Motorcycles, right? Still an ambassador for Husqvarna Motorcycles. Maybe you can get me a discount code for one of the trail bikes there. Maybe we'll talk about it off the air. So,
hey, hold on before we go. Who wins the opening round?
Opening round will be won by, I'm going to say Justin Barsha. He starts off strong every year. So Justin Barsha on the gas.
Ooh.
Justin Barsha on the gas. And it's going to be a great opening round because, they're chomping at the bit. Everybody's ready. They should be healthy. I don't think anybody's injured. They're chomping at the bit. They can't wait. Malcolm's on the Yamaha. Cooper Webb's kind of talking shit, but not really talking shit. And, Tomac's, the big man on campus. So, man, they're all ready. Everybody's ready. Everybody's pumped. I'm going to say Justin Barsha pulls off the upset, and it's going to be one of the greatest years in Supercross history.
Ooh, bold statement.
I'm a bold man.
I'm going to go see Cirillo. So.
Oh, look at that. I like that. Yes. I love seeing Cirillo. Yes. Good choice, but I'm going to go with Bam Bam.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
Man, thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you guys for watching one of the greats in Supercross and in motocross. Thank you for watching again. And like we say about this time, peace.